seen throughout the entire series. The Vi, the Caitlyn, the Kalista, the Skarner, other things that OMG banned with his Xinjiao. Once again, taken away from Tian. He's going to have to resort to a different jungler that is not Viego or Wukong either. So in terms of, you know, career fighters, Lee Sin still up on the table. Yeah. He can look at something maybe like, if he wants to go for a tank, a Sejuani is available. But it does seem like Weibo Gaming has been operating much more successfully when Tian has something that he can skirmish actively with.
Mark, who's in that first pick?
That's Leona, bro.
Does Moham have that limited of a champion pool? Like, I get it, right? Because typically when we saw Moham, a lot of his success was on the engage. It was specifically on the rel. But, I mean, now we're picking first pick Leona when there are so many different champions in my mind that are available. Like, this Jax immediately coming in. For Tian, I wonder, so in 2024, his top 5 most played is Jin Zhao, Lee Sin, Sejuani, Maokai, Zyra. All time, it's Lee Sin, Viego, Sejuani, Gragas. Like, it just seems like they should just be playing around this top side, and they still have a lot of options for bottom lane. Yes, Ashe and this Varus are gone, but I think if you are someone like Light, you still have the Ezreal that's available for you. There are still plenty of options here for Weibo. I'm just confused for this Leona, as I think there are a lot of great pairs with her, but not necessarily a champion that you need to get off the table. Again, Nautilus is still up. I just don't... I'm not getting it.
I think the only thing that comes to mind for OMG is just having access to non-committal engage. And they didn't want to necessarily first pick the Sejuani for themselves either. You can always fish for a Solar Flare, and if it doesn't land, then, you know, you don't need to go in. But now they have other tools that can follow up on it. The Stranglethorn is not necessarily the best engage tool, but it's great for disengage and creating a lot of space. Fate Sealed can act as a great way to follow up on either of these two tools that OMG have drafted for themselves. But for Weibo Gaming, Light going with the Jinx, now already looking at the core of a recent composition. But if you want this recent composition to actually succeed, Alk, you gotta get some burst damage somewhere in this composition, and I imagine it's gonna be on Xiaohu's hands.
Look, Xiaohu's already played stuff like the LeBlanc. We still have Ahri, kind of surprisingly enough, a champion that we saw a lot during Demacia Cup, and I thought would kind of stay as a staple, but just hasn't really been the case here. Xiaohu on Ahri wasn't a champion that we got to see for most parts of last year, and for Linfeng, he's kind of strayed away from this Ahri champion. Hasn't really been able to pick it. Getting his Yone is great, however. I will say, career, it's his most played, and it also has a 7-5 record, so not looking too bad. For Weibo, though, I mean, Sejuani and LeBlanc is not exactly a very inspiring combo, but I just don't know what Light is able to do on this Jinx in this game. You're getting outranged by the Zyra, and if at any moment you don't have Flash, there's a Yone and a Leona who just jump on top of you, you die. So, gotta be careful here. And in support, I mean, Braum's gone, but you still have the Nautilus you can try to take if you want to get an engaged support from the bottom lane. I'm trying to take a look at what else could be picked here. You do have, I mean, Alistar is also taken away. You could play Tom Kench.
Tom Kench would also work as well. You need some type of escape tool for the Jinx so that she can reposition around the fight. Poppy would...
Poppy's great here.
You can block a lot of the engage tools, you know, if... at least not... I don't know if you can block Fate Sealed with Steadfast Presence, but I know you can block the third cast of Yone's Q. You can block the Zenith Blade from the Leona as well. So even though it's not a reposition tool for Jinx like the Thresh Dark Passage or Tom Kench just being able to, you know, scoop them up with the ulti and save them, but at least you can try and deny ways for OMG to get on top of Light.
Okay, so they got the Ziggs again, going for a bit of an outrange strategy here. Hery with last pick on his side for OMG. He's been giving a lot of resources. Obviously, the first pick Rumble, then we saw in that first game with the Cassante. Again, when we talk about this OMG roster, a lot of their jungle focus is towards the top side of the map. It's going to be the Aatrox into the Jack. So pretty okay position here for OMG, but they need a much more solid front line to be able to buy space for someone like Zyra and the Ziggs. Going to be a pretty big focus on Heng, who has not had the best series. I think Tian has obviously run circles around this guy, and now you have to be able to deal with the fact that you're playing into Sejuani. You got to be able to get those camps on time. You cannot lose a single step. You misstep once, and now there's a Sejuani who's just running over you. You have this Sylas who could very easily just jump on top of you. Could be a bit dangerous, but this is, again, another draft from Weibo that can fall prey if they fall behind.
Yeah, but I will say that when we were looking at Xiaohu to pick up some form of burst, I think the Sylas is not necessarily insanely reliable at always delivering on that burst, but the fact that he can grab something like a Mega Inferno Bomb or a Fate Sealed or a Leona ultimate as well to guarantee and engage. Hell, you could even get a Stranglethorns, and if they overdive into your backline, you have ways of dealing with it. And then if you kill that one diver, boom, that's the first reset. And as long as Light gets that first reset, this is a fairly squishy composition from the side of OMG. You don't have a real high economy front line. It's just Leona. Everyone else is kind of relying on sustaining through lifesteal and just tearing into your squishies.
I'm glad that Linfeng's still having a little bit of fun there. He's kind of joking with him and Moham, but we saw this matchup, the Sylas Yone matchup, all of last year, or a large portion of the Worlds meta for last year. Like, Yone has some strengths in the laning phase that he's able to kind of manipulate, but once you get into those team fights, Sylas, especially in a side lane, can start to match that, and with that ultimate steal, it's all about those big team fights. So we'll see if Weibo are able to close this out. If they do, I think table setting wise, this is what we do expect for this Weibo Gaming squad, right? Like, with the names on paper, with the kind of history that we've seen most of these players on this team already play, we expect for them to be a top 2 contender in this group. And so anything less than maybe a 3-1 is going to be really surprising here. And so it's on OMG to get those upset victories and try to push Weibo where they can.
Nothing too volatile in the opening couple of minutes of this game. No one really venturing deep into either jungle and getting some vision into camps. I think there was one ward, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, no.
On the bottom side, yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at the top side, but now this 3-man core from Weibo Gaming actually, pushing further deep into the blue quadrant of OMG. So ward from Starry will get spotted out by Weibo Gaming, and the Trinket Sweeper will not give them a chance to deny vision completely away from OMG. So they will have information that Tian is starting on this blue quadrant. And now it's up to Heng to decide, can he traverse to the other blue quadrant on the bottom side of the map and speed clear, trying to make use of, this fast clear ability from Zyra.
If he can't do this versus Sejuani, then I'm going to be really sad. Either Sejuani is just the most broken champion in the game, which I agree with, or AP junglers just suck. And, Zyra is kind of the one mage champion, aside from maybe like Karthus, who got away from the big AP jungle exodus, because Brand got basically removed from the jungle. But Zyra kind of stuck around, and I'm happy for her, Zyra is a champion that's pretty underrepresented. I'm going to hold that as Heng tries to find something. Doesn't get much, uses his Ignite, which for Starry, I mean, he's doing fine right now. He's going to be able to pop a few pots. I wonder if he also went for Biscuits. One of the big changes this patch is that Biscuits no longer grant mana, but grant a lot of HP regen. And, oh, okay.
I mean, Linfeng has to go in, tries to stack up the Mortal Steel so he has an escape tool. Now has the third cast. But Tian is just going to flash right on top of him, guarantee the permafrost stun. But Linfeng, still alive, doesn't have flash as they're collapsing into Hery, but they can't bail him out in time. And even though Xiaohu falls, he does pick up the first feat of strength for Weibo Gaming through First Blood.
So it's a First Blood, but look at the big loser in this entire play. Heng tried to invade towards bottom side and immediately had to go back. So now he only has a single set of camps. He's taken 3 camps all game. Tian is going to be able to take his bottom side here. If he wants, after taking this blue buff, he should just race over to the other side of the map and try to stop this. Xiaohu's now going to walk over to try to make sure he can check this. Does he actually get the kill?
He might get the flash, but he's going to flash forward.
Oh,
he doesn't have enough range. Xiaohu will fall for it, but if Xiaohu is a true homie, which I suspect he is for Tian, he is typing to his jungler, hey, you know what? I prevented the Zyra from farming your topside jungle, bro, so you better repay that respect back to me sometime in the next couple of minutes.
Raafaa, I need the sideline report. If you are Zyra in this game, are you typing FF right now? 4 minutes.
Oh,
Go.
I've already alt F forward. I've left the game, bro. Ain't no way.
Okay. We've gone for the lane. So they tried to go for the lane split here. We get to see Heng here almost gets this kill on the side of Xiaohu, but has to utilize the flash. 20 HP is the lowest that this Zyra gets, and it's gonna be a kill going over to Linfeng, but all these kills do not matter in my opinion. It is about keeping Zyra underneath the ground. They're now ganking this bottom lane. I think most of it is just to give a little bit of pressure, leave some of that pressure away from Light and Heng. But this Zyra has farmed 3 camps now. It is now respawned Gromp, respawned Blue Buff. No, not even respawned Blue Buff. Took the why does she have 16? She hasn't finished. What other camp has she done? Did she take some of the minions from mid lane?
Maybe. I'm not entirely too sure. Maybe there's
That's
a
still
camp
sad
that they
though.
were able
Oh,
to
they were going for the
still sneak
dive.
away.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and Starry is all by themselves. He does have a flash. Heng tries to get in range with the slam into the slow from the Q, but Starry does not get out alive. Permafrost falls through. The ignite guarantees the kill for Heng, but now that does sacrifice Light's own life as he had to push far and away from that tier 1 turret in between these two. And Heng, you know, considering that how disastrous the early game, clear was for him, he's picking up a lot of kills because Weibo Gaming are trying so hard to put him behind.
Now he's 500 gold ahead. What is this game? Why does catch-up experience work like this? Why do these kills work in this manner? He's just getting gold for himself, so all of the big question marks, all of the big sad emojis that I was throwing at for Heng here, he's doing fine. He might be a little bit behind in experience, and I think that is going to be more important, but I'm looking at the little purple bar that's under the champion portraits. He's not that far behind, and he still has all these respawn camps to pick up, so OMG have been able to stabilize through a couple of mistakes coming in from specifically Tian, who's making some early aggressive plays to look for some summoner spells, but Sejuani does not, the battle board does not have that much damage packed into the kit.
Yeah, we can definitely tell that Weibo Gaming have a clear goal in mind to try and really ruin this Zyra's game plan, but it's not going at all in their favor, and they're trying to challenge for these grubs, but Linfeng has Fate Sealed available, so Tian gets punished, and now Hery has collapsed with a teleport. Heng might be in trouble, forced to flash away, and OMG are actually capitalizing on the over-aggressiveness and the over-eagerness from Weibo Gaming so far.
It took them 2 games, but a Tian game is coming through. For all the Tian haters that are in chat, it's coming through. He's unfortunately just putting his team in such a dangerous spot. Him and Heng, I mean, we saw it in the bot lane dive, getting Light killed. Then they move in. He moves into mid to try to stop the Zyra from taking his topside camps, but then they just look onto the kill for Xiaohu. A lot of Weibo has been making sure that Tian is able to get resources, getting those turret plates for himself, getting some of those feats early, but now it's starting to backfire. 2,000 gold here for OMG. We've got the dragon spawning on the bottom side of the map. Tian is level 5 and is immediately moving into bottom side camps to try to contest. Maybe they try to find a dive, try to set up around Breathe, but I think for right now, Tian, you have camps. You have all these bottom side camps. They're using the priority out from Xiaohu to maybe look for something.
I mean, Xiaohu is going to try to collapse on down. He gets the Stranglethorns ripped away from Heng, and there is the shutdown, finally giving Heng his first death in this 3rd game of the series. Xiaohu still surviving thanks to the Kingslayer, and Linfeng just does not have enough damage to finish off Xiaohu. And Hery is not going to go down anytime soon either, but can't do anything to avenge his fallen comrade.
I mean, just Linfeng misses the E. He's not using the CC immunity from his Fate Unbound, and then the Q3 ends up being a little bit late as well. It's a small bout of errors that do turn into a positive play there for the side of Weibo, but that could have very easily gone in a bad position. Now Hery, he's like, I'm stepping up for the mini wave, but you know that Tian's behind you.
Honestly,
what?
Dimitri.
What?
You know what? This this is what happens when Cubby plays top lane in our flex games. You know, he's like, hey guys, this minion wave is super overextended. I have to play for this wave, otherwise I'm super cooked. If Tian's here, then whatever, I burn my flash. You know, he ends up burning the flash.
We're going for a TP play for this. So Hery's now screwed because they cleared the
his
vision
wave is
ward.
so bad. He has to do something to try to correct it, but Weibo Gaming are there for the punish. World Ender, he's just ended his own world right there. Now Starry, at least trying to take advantage of that no one is on this top side defending the tier 1 turret for Weibo Gaming. They get a couple plays for their side, and OMG are technically still ahead in gold, but almost every single lane was ahead, and now some of that gold differentials are starting to be shored up by Weibo Gaming.
Because Weibo over-indexed on the bottom side of the map, it did allow for, like you were saying, OMG to kind of put pressure on different sides of the map, Linfeng pushing in the mid lane, but now Weibo have, I think in a really smart way, started to shift some of the lane assignments. They let Xiaohu take over this wave, breathe TP's top. You had Light, who used his ultimate to clear the top wave and then shifted down into mid, so they're still able to pick up a little bit of gold for themselves, but ends up being a pretty great play all in all for Weibo, as they're just trying to get gold in the right spots, kind of correct some of the errors of that early game that happened consecutively around the grubs and so on and so forth. 30 seconds before the second set of grubs is spawned here, and right now OMG are focused on this bottom side of the map. It looks like they want to try to go towards this second dragon, or this first dragon here. I just don't think it's the right play, especially for a team that already has the first Elder, or the first Epic Dragon, or first Epic Camp taken, sorry. And that is one of the feats of strength, right? You have to get to first to 3 epic camps taken. And so once you take the second grub, then you're just looking at either a Herald or a Dragon, and then you're in a really great spot. And you always have to be worried, as this Weibo team, first turret is something that could be very easy for OMG since they do have the Ziggs.
Yeah. Weibo Gaming now with the second rotation of grubs on the map. How many people do they want to send to try and contest this? Heng and Tian already trying to gain control of the river. A little hard into Zyra, especially now that she has a Leandry's fully
teleport
completed.
Tian
Tries to step up. Here comes Heng over the wall. Tries to slam Heng into the wall as well. But Tian gets bursted out, and that's their frontline gone. But here comes Xiaohu. He connects the chains. Even after the flash, Xiaohu putting on a clinic onto this Sylas. But Linfeng with the teleport will join the fight, and Xiaohu's got no other backup that can bail him out this time. Huge revenge kill for OMG as they stall out the map for this grubs play.
That does stop the grubs here being taken by OMG, and Weibo just get caught out there. It was a great re-engage coming in from Heng, but I mean, none of the damage is quite there. Light is sitting over the wall with his Q. He's like, okay, I've got rockets, but I don't have a completed item. Look at where Starry is. Finished Luden's companion already. Heng already with this Leandry's. You're going for Heartsteel first item as Tian. Now, he started up this objective, but none of his damage dealers are here. Xiaohu has to walk back again. I wonder what ult he's going to be able to steal, because he should still have either the Leona ult, or he can maybe try to steal maybe Heng's ult. Yeah, so he still has the Solar Flare here. We're going to have a restart of this objective fight, but no ultimates available for the side of OMG, and that's not the same to be said for Weibo.
And Weibo Gaming might take their chances in their ability to skirmish just better than OMG with ultimates being down. But the first grub of that second rotation already secured for OMG. This should be the 5th grub of the game going over to them. There is one more grub to secure.
There we go.
And it looks like there's no contest. So now OMG being able to secure all 6 grubs, that gives so much split push potential power to this Aatrox, to this Yone on both of the side lanes for the rest of the game.
Oh, we're using Leona ult on Leona. Get solar flared, get solar flared, get solar flared. Okay, well, felt bad. It's okay. She got to experience the power of the sun, which is fine. You know, definitely within her kit. But you talk about split pushing pressure. Starry has been sitting in this top lane. Oh, we're just making an engage. Goodbye, Xiaohu.
Uh-oh.
And that's a turret. That's just straight up going to be a turret gone. 6 grubs with Ziggs. It's already at 2.5. OMG are going to get the first turret here. They don't have to play for this dragon that's kind of up and available, but if they get the Rift Herald in 3, you have to imagine that's going to be your first set of grubs. So they now have the first turret. I think this is one of the first times in the series we're actually going to be able to see from OMG the fact that they can actually kind of start to contest for a feat of strength.
Yeah, and I have to say, for Weibo Gaming, I mean, OMG, you know, credit to them, they were able to punish a lot of the the aggressiveness that Weibo Gaming tried to force multiple times in the first 13 minutes of this game so far. But, this is really a result of, Weibo Gaming's mishaps and misexecutions. They're trying to push the pedal, which, you know what? They've already played the first 2 games fairly safe, fairly calculated, and they kind of stomped OMG all over.
Yep.
I can, respect that this is their attempt at trying to push the
No, Moham, no.
Oh boy, Moham does not have flash, but he's got backup. He loses about half of his HP, but Starry's able to guarantee his safety, just throwing some snowballs that are packed with dynamite power. Glacial Prison doesn't actually really connect. Starry just walks out of it. No need to flash either.
I was mostly sad because there's a Heartsteel proc. I was a little worried. Heartsteel is one of the best items they added to the game. The dopamine of hearing the sound is just beautiful. It's great. It's one of the best things. It's up there with like Kleptomancy strikes and getting like a free level up or like a bunch of gold from it. Missed that rune. One thing I kind of want to talk. We're talking about the individual excellency or like kind of how OMG are finally having a game that feels even between them and Weibo. Linfeng is up 40 versus Xiaohu, and part of that is because Xiaohu has been pulled across the map so many times by Tian to go for these plays, but Yone is going to be level 11 soon. You also have to think about the Blood Roses are going to be up and available. You see that he's very close to hitting level 11. It's one more kill or maybe even a minion here, as with 6 grubs, OMG want to try to take this objective. If they can get this turret down bottom lane, they can then set themselves up to look for the dragon that is also still up and available. It is 15 minutes. We have not had a single dragon taken this game.
Weibo Gaming have not gotten a chance to really capitalize. They've been so focused on trying to shut down this Zyra, and it did not go their way. And now they're kind of on the back foot of choosing and dictating which objectives can they really play for. They're not the first ones to set up. And when you're not the first ones to set up against a Zyra composition, it's so hard to walk in. It's so hard to challenge and contest. And this should be the third objective of the game. So OMG, feats of strength accomplished for their side.
They finally get it. The first time in the series we get to see from OMG them being able to take those feats of strength, so they'll get the triumphant boot upgrades. They'll also have access to tier 3 boots once they finish their second legendary item. A very big spike for them if they can actually convert it into a win. I know from our games we were saying, hey, this is a snowball meta, but we kept winning even with or without the feats of strength. And they are by no means backbreaking. I think the only ones that might be a little bit questionable and definitely need a nerf even after the micro patch today, gotta be those tank boots. With the plated steel caps and the merc treads, the shield that you get, it's 15-second cooldown, but it is just too insane. It's free. Think of Camille passive every 15 seconds. It's just not okay. That and the Sork Pen boots, but Sork Pen boots already got nerfed today, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, the fact you're getting 4% max HP on a short passive cooldown is pretty crazy. And now OMG are going to continue pushing the pace of this game even further by starting up this Rift Herald. Weibo Gaming wants the challenge. Tian's the first one in the river. Heng on the left side trying to collapse as well. But once again, we talk about how hard it is to challenge Zyra in these corridors when she is able to get those plans stacked up. Heng looking to separate them with his Keeper's Verdict. Goes wide. Does not connect onto anyone. The Glacial Prison connects onto Moham.
Oh, nice steal!
Tian. Strangle Thorns. Tian does steal the Rift Herald away, and that denies it. But now Weibo Gaming are trying to collapse in through this corridor, and OMG have to fight for their lives in here. Linfeng cannot get over the wall with the Fate Seal. Ken's Breathe blocks it, and Light gets the first reset of this fight. And it's going to be enough to deter the rest of OMG from trying to stay in this river. And Weibo Gaming, for the first time, able to find an advantageous fight for themselves.
Mark, the OMG from the past 2 games is starting to creep back in. That fight was incredibly messy. Positioning-wise, Starry's nowhere near. He's getting focused down by Xiaohu and by... I mean, we could just take a look at this. So, Starry already kind of disconnected, but this is fine. We're still with the rest of our core team. The teleports are coming through. And while Tian does die, he gets the steal. And I love this coming in from Weibo solo laners. They put pressure onto Starry so he can't be here. Linfeng gets crashed up against the wall by Heng. And there's just no one from the side of OMG. They just feel lost. Heng is kind of sitting in this kind of brush, sitting in that corridor. Like, okay, well, I used my Strangle Thorns. We didn't really kind of turn it into too much. We still lost the Herald as a team that has 6 grubs. And they were able to get the flashes off of a lot of key members there. So a great fight from Weibo and starting to prey on some of the mistakes from OMG that we've been seeing all series long.
And now they're trying to force another fight in this bottom quadrant. Xiaohu takes the solar flare from Moham. Breathe might be caught out here, and I think Weibo Gaming are just going to leave him to die. Big shutdown does go over to Linfeng on this Yone. It's a nice amount of gold. Continuing to accelerate this swordsman in the sides of OMG. But Linfeng stays for one wave too long. Can he find an angle to Fate Seal his way out of there? But the Soul Unbound keeps him tethered, and the two frontliners are just going to stay on top of him, so this Fate Seal does not get much done. Wait a minute, Mortal
Wait, his team's here though!
Collapsing, wait a minute! And Light's not there for the fight. He only sent the Mega Death Rocket, but he's not actually there to bail them out. Xiaohu falls, and OMG once again punish the over-eagerness from Weibo Gaming.
And it's the really impressive rookies coming in from OMG. Linfeng and Starry this game have had standout performances so far. They haven't been able to piece it together in this series, but it finally feels in this third game of the best of 5 that Linfeng and Starry actually kind of get to play some good old League of Legends. We have the individuality that Linfeng has over Xiaohu. You have Starry on the Ziggs, who has been performing very, very adamantly. And so far, I don't want to call it quiet yet, but this is still the closest game we've gotten, bar none, in the series so far. And it comes off the back of two of the big developmental pieces coming in from the OMG pipeline.
And one thing that we didn't get a chance to really highlight for Linfeng on this Yone pick, obviously, last year, he was a big control mage player. A lot of his most played champions, Hui, Nico, Karma, Akali, Orianna. But his career most played all time is this Yone champion. The fact that he's getting a chance to display it on full blast in this LPL third game against Weibo Gaming, one that is pretty much, make or break. These are the games where you no longer have, that reprieve for another loss. You have to win these games throughout if you want to come back in this series. And Linfeng being able to survive in a 1v3 like that, my goodness.
Okay, it's going to be second Dragon of the game at 21 minutes. Okay, it's going to be a slow one. Now, Weibo have not been strangers to a slow game here, and they have so many comeback mechanics just by way of, I think, the players, and also by having someone like a Jinx. It takes one kill. It takes one reset in a fight. Now with Yuntal Wild Arrows and this Runons, if we get to 3 items, Raafaa, we got to start thinking about a potential comeback from the side of Weibo Gaming, but we have been seeing every time and now. Linfeng gets into the backline, he creates havoc, you kill the really squishy backline. Same thing with Starry. As long as this lockup comes through, we should be seeing OMG be able to close out fights. Maybe with an Otacon fight here now, that could be something that's we're kind of looking at, but both of these teams are not really in the position to contest for this objective quite yet, and it is the oh my god, the Voracious variant. Yet again, 3 games in a row of Voracious Otacon.
I definitely thought that, considered how bloody this game was turning out to be, that we were for sure going to get a ruinous Otacon, but unfortunately, that day is going to have to wait before we get to see, the gray shade of the new objective in LPL. But for Weibo Gaming, a lot of the game plan that OMG has been doing is kind of the similar veins of what Weibo Gaming has wanted to do. And the one fight that they did get that was pretty advantageous for them was all about Breathe and Xiaohu creating disruption into the backline. Very similar to how OMG want to operate on their fights. So I imagine it's just going to come down to who is picking the better flanks, who is able to, really cause much more disarray in team comms, as Xiaohu is now looking for that flank once again. Engage from Tian, right onto Hery, and they're pushing him back, but now Xiaohu is deep behind enemy lines, and he no longer wants to be here. He has forced the flash away just so he can close the distance on that blast cone and ensure that OMG don't punish him for going too far forward.
This entire time, they summoned the Rift Herald at the bottom lane. It's made its way through halfway in the lane, and it's just going to get picked up here by the side of OMG. There's a lot of pings coming out from Weibo about, hey, maybe we go for the Otacon, maybe we go for the Otacon, but that's just not going to be the case here. Breed's able to leap strike out, and this Rift Herald got wasted, so Weibo lose, again, more resources around the map. They lose the Rift Herald, they lose Xiaohu's flash during that play. Weibo, what the hell, man? Like, what's going on, dude? What's going on over there?
There's definitely an entertaining aspect to how fast they're trying to play the game compared to the first two games. I mean, I definitely love the psychopathic mode that Xiaohu has entered since the hater behavior he displayed towards Heng, trying to deny him the red quadrant jungle, which unfortunately got himself killed and, you know, gave a little bit of that lane advantage over to Linfeng. But he's been playing the same way for this entire game. And honestly, I kind of like it. It's very fun to watch at the moment.
Oh, for sure. It's very fun. But, I mean, he's sitting on the side lane now. He'll be able to teleport. It looks like we're seeing Heng try to find a flank angle on this fight. Weibo want to go for this.
Keeper's verdict at the ready. It punts away Heng, so there's no Stranglethorns that can stop them. That's one member taken off the table from OMG, and it's the Solar Flare that is also gone. OMG are going to have to rely on other members to safely enter and look for that engage.
They're trying to go for this Aatrox now. Heng's in the area. He's clearing vision. It looks like after these two waves in mid and top, they're going to immediately move towards this objective. Moham's going to be back up in 5 seconds, so instead of fighting for this, Weibo are instead trying to position around this topside jungle, get vision for themselves. Are we going to... Now, I don't think Aatrox despawns, if I'm correct.
I don't think so either.
It should. There's no reason for it to despawn, but I think that being able to have like a 30-minute GA, 30-minute GA proc for free is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
As the game goes on, having that free GA that respawns you after 5 seconds and gives very little resources to the opponents, the value just gets higher and higher. And Tian,
wow.
The Sejuani ults are at the very least adventurous.
I mean, he's trying to fish for the Ziggs, but this is now, I want to say, either the second time or the third time that Starry has just kind of laughed off the engage attempt from Tian, not needing to use the flash. And the first time he sidestepped it, this time he just uses a well-timed satchel charge to jump away from the tool. And now for Weibo Gaming, it's all on, you know, different ideas for them to try and see if they can find a way to force another fight. Solar Flare, there's Starry's flash. And now it might be a little easier, but Linfeng is just wrecking Tian's day. Slices that board down like pork slices, and now that's going to be nicely done for OMG. They pick up another kill. Linfeng, the Yone, is just cooking Weibo Gaming, and he even goes for Light, but it's not enough damage now. Light.
Here we go!
They got to be careful, because if Light finds any more kills, he can wreak havoc on all of them, but Hery finds one to be able to trade back and keep distance on Weibo Gaming. Starry holds them back with the bombs. And Weibo are just grateful that they didn't lose their entire team.
Light almost completely rips apart that fight. It's that range advantage, but it's Linfeng sitting on the back line. He's also able to get the flash away from this Jinx. And that is a huge find for OMG. As we get into this replay, I mean, the satchel bomb, it's a single auto attack and the turret dies. Starry flashes out, and from here, where are the damage dealers? The TP is coming in from Breathe and from Hery, but I mean, it's just Heng sitting in the backline. No one else is dealing damage to him. Xiaohu is getting knocked up and thrown around in this fight. And all the while, Starry full HP. There's a really close one coming out from Light. It's literally a single auto away. If Light is going to get hit one more time by this Yone, he goes down in there. And while it's a great fight at the very end from Weibo, it's getting way too close, and we're seeing some of those compositional things that we were talking about from the draft there. It is almost entirely on Light in this game to be able to carry the team and bring Weibo to a 3-0. If not, OMG are going to find first blood finally in this series and get themselves a series, at least a victory.
And now it's even more imperative for Weibo Gaming to defend and protect their Jinx, who is now down a flash. Still has a cleanse for this dragon fight. And 3 items to their name. It really is all about how well can they carry Light through getting that first reset so he can clean the rest up.
Breathe on a super flank.
Deep flank through fog. Looking for Starry. No flashes needed over
they don't
the
know.
wall. They have no idea. And Starry is primed for the killing. Yes, they take the dragon and Starry is forced out of the fight, but Linfeng makes it out with a well-timed Fate Seal. They turn towards the front line. Heng takes out Heng, and now the rest of Weibo Gaming just are relying on Light. They get the first reset onto Hery. Xiaohu was traded, but Light is able to take out the jungler, and now all eyes are on the top 2 objectives, both Baron and Aatrox available for the taking.
They're going to probably go for this Baron, but they look a little confused. Weibo instead take their jungle camps. They take the fact that they won that fight, but now it is Dragon Soul here for OMG. And a close game at bat here as OMG are fighting for their lives to stay in this series, as one more win, one team fight win, and another Nexus going down means that Weibo are going to start off this Group B 1-0 with the best of 5 victory over OMG. I mean, this game is great. I'm glad that at least we got one competitive game from OMG. For all the people who have been here from the beginning of the stream, it has been a stomp from Weibo. 2 games back-to-back, and finally we're getting some fight back. It's going to be an Otacon going over to Weibo, and like we said earlier, 30 minutes now. They have 5 minutes worth of GA that they can use at least once, and we already saw how OP it was in the last game.
Yep. I mean, they just ran it straight down in the mid, was able to take out one Nexus turret, and immediately, fast base, take the Baron off the back end. As we take a look at the replay for this last fight.
Man, that was super close. Great job from Heng to be able to grab that for his team, but yeah, I mean, this was another fight where a lot of the damage dealers for OMG, specifically Linfeng, didn't get into a great position. And it turned into the fact that the Yone was in a big part of the fight. If he's able to deal a little bit more damage, I think that this definitely goes a little bit differently for the side of OMG. And Weibo kind of back to the drawing board yet again. It's only 2,000 gold lead, but 3 items here for Starry, 3 items here for Light. And if he's able to get the Infinity Edge, maybe there is a bit of a difference in the arguments here. But for Starry, he can very easily just optimize into like Azonia's 4th item, and then all of that kill threat that we're expecting from Weibo starts to get harder and harder to find.
And Breathe has been quietly performing well for Weibo so far in these fights. He's been causing so much disruption. He's been picking up a lot of these sneaky kills onto the back line and finishing off any stragglers. As now they're trying to challenge for this Baron. They turn right onto Linfeng. The Soul Unbound does not take him out alive as he gets the Fate Sealed and the well-timed locket from Moham to keep him alive. But there's Breathe! Once again, a straggler on the screen, and he finishes them off. Hery trying to defend the rest of Weibo Gaming from getting into the backline, but he is not going to be long for this world, as his world is about to end. Breathe is just destroying them under the turret, and he's got the GA from the voracious Otacon. He's going to be able to respawn back on the map. No teleport, but the rest of Weibo Gaming can now turn for this Baron.
Why is this Otacon buff so damn broken? Look, they could just do that. They just get to fight. And look, even if Tian dies here, he can just TP back. Not a TP, but he can just walk back. It is a Cloud Drake map, so he'll have extra movement speed around these buffs. Looks like they're going to try and make a re-engage here. Breathe is back.
Yeah, they can get so aggressive. Breathe, Counter-Strike, Moham, nowhere else to go. His teammates had to bail. This Baron is secured for Weibo Gaming, and the hope that started at the beginning of this game for OMG, that gold lead has finally disappeared, and the last bit of that light is starting to dwindle here, Alk. Weibo Gaming now regaining full control of this game.
It looks so good. The first 25 minutes of this game for OMG. They have still some avenues to play. Level 16 coming in soon for Linfeng. We can take a look at this replay now. I feel so bad for Starry, as this was such a great fight from him. He's getting so much pressure into this backline, and while he's able to buy space, especially with Linfeng being able to kind of extend how long this is, the Otacon respawn is just too broken, man. Oh, we're getting right back in. Heng's dead! What?
Oh,
why is he dead?
I got no flash, but Weibo Gaming must have caught him out on vision. And a flashless Zyra means it's very difficult for you to actually step up and try and gain space. You're just super squishy and super gimpable. And for Weibo Gaming now, numbers advantage on their side, 5-4. They're pushing in through mid. They're pushing in through bot. Baron buff on all of these siege minions. It's going to give them that extra edge to take out these inhibitors. As they look for the engage.
Oh, here we go.
Glacial Prison on the Linfeng, flashes away from the Mega Death Rocket. Heng comes in over the top, slams Hery into the wall. Good night, Aatrox. As Light gets the first reset, tears through that tower. Xiaohu, Solar Flare looks for Starry, forces the flash out. Heng falls to Starry on the back end, but they do not care. They can get the objectives that they want. They take out the structures of the bot lane. Mid lane will fall next, and they might just look for more.
Got another
but
reset
OMG
though.
Starting
Whoa,
to
Linfeng,
look back.
no!
Shorts it. He was looking for the Fate Seal to turn this game around, but that gives Light the resets he needs, the flash forward to end the game. No game 3 for OMG victory. It's just a 3-0 sweep for Weibo Gaming as Light picks up the quadra kill.
That's going to be the end, and this was the fight that we were looking for. It all takes one kill. Light gets his resets, Light gets excited, and like we just said, Weibo are going to take the Game 3 and a dominant series over OMG here as the first game of the LPL Split 1.
And that already has repercussions for this Group B, Dimitri. Remember, it is single round robin. As soon as Weibo Gaming win one more series, they are guaranteed to go through the bracket stage. They would still have to play one more series to determine who would be the higher of the 2 seeds, but this already sets up Weibo Gaming for success in advancing into the later stage of this first split.
And think about it, they play on Wednesday. One of the things we were talking about before the show was kind of how fast this Group B actually plays all their games. They're actually going to be done with kind of qualifying who's going to top 2 by next week. They'll have their 3 games there. They're kind of 3 or 4 games done by then. And for Weibo, they play on the 15th. So in 3 days' time, they're playing up against Ultra Prime, a team that we looked at the predictions. Everybody has Ultra Prime going 4th in this group. If Weibo take that win, like you were just saying, they're qualified immediately for playoffs. Whether it's the 1st or 2nd seed is up to their series versus JDG and how JDG performs in this group. But
yeah. I don't know if you got a chance to see, but, you know, in the first 2 game defeats, OMG were still kind of lighthearted, but this Game 3 faces definitely looked so much more crushed. I think in this game when, you know, compared to the first 2 where you were, you know, severely at a disadvantage and things kind of, you know, blew up at the beginning of the game and it was very hard to recover, this one definitely feels so much more painful to have had a sizable, realistic lead that they could have played through and it just slipped away.
It's so tough, especially for a team, because it's like we finally got Linfeng, a really comfortable champion. I think that we also had a bot lane matchup that finally went in the favor of OMG, and everything started to come together. Game 1, they had the double kind of lane, or the double range bot lane that Moham lost his flash level 1, so they weren't really able to pressure. Then they turned into a split map with the jungle, so the Tian's on their side of the map. Game 2, the turret dive. If you want, you can go to LPL English Twitter, and you can just go see that dive. It was pretty terrible. And then Game 3, we finally get it to happen. It's a great early game. They get the feats of strength. Everything's looking good for them. But it's that late game kind of decision making, and another game where it's some of those mid-game, late-game flubs. Heng getting caught out there at the very end kind of turns into snowballs into the nexus exploding. The fact that they were able to stop Starry from dying, and part of that is the Otacon GA, the Baron. Big wins for Weibo, and my eyes now is some of the same criticisms we had of Weibo coming into Demacia Cup is they take really long to close out games, and not all of them are very clean. So if this team is going to be one where they're trying to push for a championship, push for a deeper runs at internationals, we need to see them shape up.
Yeah, and thankfully for them, you know, this is still the very early stages of the 2025 competitive year. So, you know, this is between Demacia Cup and now our first official best of 5 of the LPL now concluded. We get a nice preview of what Weibo Gaming can do. And I have to say, I'm, you know, on board with that Light propaganda that we've been pushing since the beginning of the series. Light looked fantastic.
I love you, Light, so much.
Being given the keys to the kingdom in 2 games where he's not having to play Ashe duty or Varus duty, you know, no utility marksman.
Yep.
He gets to play Misfortune. He's flashing forward and hitting people upside the mouth. He is flashing forward on Jinx, looking for the resets and ripping people to shreds. This is the Light that, you know, every Light fan has been wanting to see get put on that pedestal, be shown in the spotlight, no pun intended. And now, in this roster, it seems like this is a possibility.
All I'm saying is we have Church of Chovy. We have to do something a little bit different here for our boy Light, but maybe it's walk into the light. Walk into the light.
We'll work on it.
Yeah, we'll definitely try to workshop this. great job, I think, from Weibo. I think we got to see some of the really high highs that this team could potentially. I think the first game in particular, Tian just did, I think, one of his best games in terms of being able to play against someone like Heng, and then we got to see 2 great games from Light as well. I'm still on the fence as to what this team can look like if they're really all playing at peak, as I think Heng didn't have the best overall series, but still was able to find marks where he could, especially on engage. And, you know, it's never a Tian series or a Tian team without one of those games. And the Sejuani just happened to be that one. And it didn't matter. Didn't matter. Him and Xiaohu locked arms, ran it down together, and we still won the game.
You know, there was something almost... I don't want to say useful is not the right word, but there was something kind of like effective about the way Tian and Xiaohu sprinted so many deaths this game. You know, maybe not so much from Tian's perspective because there was a lot of missed ultimates onto Starry, but Xiaohu, even if he was dying a lot of times, I felt like Xiaohu was at least doing it with a purpose and at least getting the purpose done before he fell eventually to OMG, right? And I think
Go, finish.
You know, just the fact that he's playing the Sylas and he's playing like a psychopath. And I really love when people do that because you are putting so much fear and putting so much pressure onto the backline, which you cannot let Ziggs freely just try and lob bombs, right? You have to try and pressure them.
This is one of the kind of things that we want to see from this Weibo team is just that ability to do something. The big criticism last year when they had Tarzan join the roster in summer is that they just sat around and, like, fell asleep. They did absolutely nothing, and they would just lose the game because they don't want to pressure for objectives. They don't want to try to go for plays, and it is going to take some calibration from this team to figure out, okay, like, what exactly is good to go for, what is an int play, but we're getting that from this team, and it is the beginning of the season. They had Demacia Cup to also try to test out some of those limits. We're seeing some limit testing from Weibo, and with the new roster with Tian, I think that people would have said, okay, Tian, he's a great jungler. Does he have the same versatility as someone like Tarzan? I don't think he does, but this is, I think, the roster that they needed. I think for Xiaohu and the rest of this Weibo team, they need someone to do something. And Tian, for better or worse, is going to get stuff done.
Yeah. And when you have, you know, Heng coming in as support as well, I think Weibo Gaming at least taking one of the 3 games from this series to really just slam the acceleration pedal and see how far they can push their limits, you know, and to put it quite politely, they after round and found out a lot, you know, in the early game.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's what that's kind of.
That's a nice way to politely put it for a family-friendly audience. And look at that, Light MVP, and surely with a second player of the game, that should give him the series MVP as well. I really don't think I would give it to anyone else. There might have been an argument for, you know, Xiaohu's consistency, but just considering a lot of, you know, outside of game 1, where, you know, the damage share was largely in Xiaohu's Aurora, this really was a Light show.
I think for a baseline, either you're giving it to Light or Breathe. I think Breathe series was great here. We're getting to see Arcane Survivor Jinx. I really love that we changed all of the Arcane Season 1 skin names for absolutely no reason. Happens, but only right that we give it to our boy in the AD carry position. And yeah, again, this is an expected result. I know we're getting excited. We're kind of having some fun. We're poking some, we're throwing some prods over at OMG, but this was the expected result. I can even look at the predictions that a lot of the casting crew put in. A lot of them, or almost all of them, are all Weibo favored. If I take a look, yep, 3-0, 3-0. Lennon has a 3-1. You have a 3-1.
I also had a 3-1, yeah.
Yeah. Slayer put in a 3-0. So everybody kind of across the board agreeing that this should be a Weibo series to take. And this was mostly a temperature check as to what we should expect and kind of the future of this group, as we do think that this group is kind of locked up, and it's up to those upset victories coming into these best of 5 series that are really going to kind of make or break this group. Can Ultra Prime or the side of OMG get a win in a series that they're not really expected to?
Yeah, and, you know, to give credit where it's due, the early game that OMG was, kind of gift wrapped by, Weibo Gaming's overeagerness and misexecution of trying to really put the Zyra into the ground. It gave opportunity for both Linfeng and Starry, the two main developmental pieces of OMG, to shine for a bit. I mean, yes, they didn't win and they weren't able to carry it all the way through, but, there was a solid 20-25 minutes where Linfeng's Yone was genuinely impressive, where Starry's Ziggs was genuinely impressive, and that's something that you want to look forward to as a longtime fan of the organization and watching, two young players grow.
Yeah, we said this at the top of show, but for this OMG roster, we're not really expecting immediate success. But it really is about not only gaining some reps here in Split 1, but really trying to hit your stride in Split 2. So if you have no idea, or maybe you're just joining us and you're kind of confused about the format, big thing is if you go out bottom 2 in your group, you're done for Split 1. So you have to wait for the rest of Split 1 to finish with the playoffs. Yeah. You have to wait for First Stand, the first international tournament that's coming in, and then you go into Split 2. You're going to be playing, again, similarly, either a bunch of best of 3s, bunch of best of 5s, and there's a very high likelihood that if you finish bottom 2 there, which I don't think OMG is going to, but always have to be in the back of your mind, if you don't hit the ground running and you're not able to kind of prove yourself, your season ends in June. And that's terrible. So we really want to see a lot of these development rosters that are kind of picking up either newer players or players that have been in their pipeline for talent to kind of make their way into Split 2 and really battle, specifically probably in that lower group, as it's going to have a 2-group system similar to if you were watching Summer of last year.
A lot of things to look forward to as we watch this split unfold, and then get ready for Split 2, where those developmental pieces will really have to by then lock in if they want to make a run for the final split of the season, since this is pretty much our first year of running, 3 splits within the LPL and on a global scale.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think that all of the kind of different formats that are coming out are really cool, and obviously LPL, best league in the world. So of course they have one of the more intense formats, I will say. It is very cutthroat, but that's the kind of the end of our show here. It's not an unexpected result, but there were some ups. There were a lot of downs for a portion of it, but I mean, yeah, it's good to see Weibo still on top, and for OMG, some exciting stuff, especially if you are a fan of not only the team, but maybe some exciting rookies.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, one of OMG's, longest talent developmental pieces that is now starting to make a bigger name for himself, Cream, was in OMG's, organization for quite some time, and now on Top Esports, he's an exciting player to now watch, earning 3rd All-Pro mid last summer, and I expect to see even more greatness from him coming in the new Top Esports roster for the split. But obviously that will be for another day when we actually watch Top Esports on the broadcast. For now, yay! Day 1 of LPL in the books, y'all. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to my co-caster, AlkBattery. Thank you to our wonderful production crew and the rest of the LPL unofficial English broadcast for everything that they do and helping us put on this show, and all the viewers at home for supporting us through this all.
Yeah, it's great. And again, if you are looking for more LPL, we'll be back tomorrow, same time. It is going to be Thunder Talk versus LNG. And we're going to be having games every single day of this week and of next week. So we have a lot of best of 5s in front of us. Every single day is going to have some LPL action. So you won't want to miss it. Make sure that you're following. And if you want us to help us monetarily, you can subscribe on YouTube, Twitch, or even help us out on Coffee.
Yeah, and to wherever you are watching at home in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good night, stay safe, love you all, and thank you for watching.